This edition of Mac Voices is supported by Amazon Pharmacy. Get your prescriptions delivered right to your door. Find out more at amazon.com/MacVoicesRx. This edition of Mac Voices is supported by Headspace. Meditation made simple. Visit headspace.com/MacVoices for a free 1-month trial. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 of a 2-part Mac Voices live discussion. In part 1, we wrapped up CES 2021, virtual CES 2021, for the last time, and moved on to another topic, and that's where we start in this edition, and that is potential Macintosh redesigns. There have been plenty of discussions, rumors, thoughts going around the Apple web and Mac web about what some of those changes might be. And the panel has plenty of thoughts on what they would like to see and some surprising thoughts on what they don't want to see. So let's go right back to it and get this discussion started. So one of the other topics I wanted to touch on, and anyone that watches Mac Voices knows that I detest talking about rumors, but this is another one of those exceptions that I think we need to talk about because we've seen a lot of things going around the Mac web and the Apple web this week. And I think some of these are valid, even if they are rumors, as to are they good ideas? Are they things we want, things we don't want? Is it the case of Apple just changing things because they feel the need to? And so I wanted to find out how you all felt about this. And so I know I have one opinion on one thing, and I'm going to say the word and then watch everybody melt down, and that's MagSafe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say car.
No.
My beating heart.
Hubba.
I have
That's
opinions.
What, Jim?
I want to know James's opinion because Jim, you were there for the entire first era of MagSafe, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure. Well, since 1984, so yeah. I hope all these rumors are untrue.
Why?
I suspect they probably aren't, but I don't like any of these ideas.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people like, "Oh, this is a dream come true," and I'm like, "No, I don't want any of these."
Okay, so why? Pick one and tell us why.
Why don't you want my computer to stay in one piece?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Teasing. I'm curious. What is it, James?
Mark, what's your question?
I was just going to clarify when you say MagSafe. What are you talking about? You're talking about the MagSafe as in the thing that no longer exists to plug in charger to a Macintosh. We're talking about MagSafe like the
MagSafe like the laptop behind me.
The charger for the phone.
MagSafe.
No.
Well, and Chuck, you didn't really go into. If you want me to say what the rumor is,
sure, go for it.
So the rumors are that the next, MacBook Pros, that there's going to be a 14 and 16. Not surprising that they'll have MagSafe again for charging. So the detachable magnetic cable, that they won't have the touch bar, and that they may have other ports, so unspecified, maybe HDMI or maybe some USBAs or people seem to read in whatever my favorite port is. So I think that's all the rumors that that came out. And was that Gurman or was it the other guy, Ming Kuo?
It's Ming-Chi Kuo.
Ming-Chi, yeah.
It's Ming-Chi Kuo,
yeah.
And I have things to say when it's my turn.
So as far as, MagSafe is the one that I really don't like. I mean, unless they make it addition to, but I do not want to go back to the world of a proprietary connector for charging the computer. I think it's just awesome that we now have an industry standard, and you can get all these, like now all these GAN chargers that are, the small and more, when back in the MagSafe days, there was, you could have your charger and there's an Apple charger and it was white and, it was like the Model T. That was it. And they were expensive and the cords would break and they weren't, so now the chargers are, they're cheaper and I, also I've got a battery, which you could never get a battery before.
Yeah.
And I can have one in every room in my house.
I can have one in every.
That's a good point, James. Can I ask you about my fantasy?
Sure.
I want a cord from Apple. Like I want Apple to make it, and I want it to plug in for my USB power, and then have a little break where it's a MagSafe.
That's the thing.
So if somebody trips on it,
there are
thing.
things like that. You can buy that.
Not officially, but yes.
But Brittany
not
said
from
she wanted
Apple.
it from Apple. I think that was the.
I'm not sure that
she
they.
said.
I'm not sure that they work with the high end Mac because I think it's just too much power to run through a magnetic. I think that's part of the thing too. I
just know how many times my first two laptops, I hope you're okay, sweetie, were saved by MagSafe because I'm a klutz and I have hard floors.
When they had MagSafe, I thought it was great. I was like, this is brilliant. But it's like now that I don't have it, it's like, you know what? This is great. And one thing is when, at least for me, now I'm not going to say this is everybody. For me, if my MacBook is plugged in to power, it is also plugged in to I've got an external monitor. So I usually have all 4 ports going. And so what difference does it make if one of them is magnetic?
If that's your use case, the
others aren't going to be.
Sure.
And then the other point in 2021 now is, this is going to be an M1 Mac. Obviously, these new Macs are going to be M1. Yeah. And the battery is, presumably going to run, 15, 20 hours.
I think that's the only reason I haven't already killed this one, actually.
Just don't plug it in.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So have no cords.
Well, like Brittany said, guaranteed, like I had a lot of anxiety about giving up MagSafe. Like it literally happened a month ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got my computer like I think early December, so like slightly over a month that I've had any USB-C machine. My laptop was a 2015. And I only just upgraded. So I have had a lot of anxiety about not having MagSafe, but the anxiety has sort of been replaced by the part where I am overjoyed that I was able to pick up an extra charger and it was like $35. So, and whatever length of cable I need for it, I can come by that. I can buy one with a right angle USB-C adapter. Like if I really miss MagSafe that much, it can look like the old one, so like I'm with you. It's been really hard. But Brittany, I've been working on it and we might be okay.
So I've had a USB-C machine for 4 years now. And I just have, another thing is the USBs are not like wedged in like some of the ports in early days. I think most scenarios, if you kicked it, it'd probably come out anyway. It'd probably be pretty hard to.
It's not the vice grip it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, on the other points, like more ports, if they want to add more ports, I say add more USB-C ports. I mean, I don't want, it's really easy. Dongles are super cheap, and I just bought a bunch of them. And, the things that, like my scanner, well, I just bought it and, $5 dongle, it's on the end of the cable. So now it's got a USB-C cable, it's like, what's the big deal about that? And if there's a, say a USB-A port on the laptop, well, that's all I can do with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, if it's got a USB-C port, well, I can make it a USB-A port. I can make it a SD card. I can make it, and it's so great that the drives are, hook up so fast now, either USB-C or Thunderbolt.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need CDs very much, but every now and then, like I want to rip a DVD or something. And it used to be you couldn't really buy a very good external CD DVD player, and they'd have these double cables, and well, now USB-C, just one cable. I couldn't believe it. It just works. $25 CD, Blu-ray drive, and it just works. It just works great. And basically anything I want to throw at it, I got a $17.95 Anchor USB-C to It's got 4 USB-A ports. So, So, $17. So actually that's what I do at my home office. So I've got a scanner, I've got the webcam that we're looking at, I've got the audio mixer, and there's one other, so one thing, I plug it in, I'm done, And so now I've got 3 USB-C things plugged in and 4 USB-A. I've got 7 things plugged in. It's maxed out. I couldn't, I wouldn't have 4 extra USB-A ports. I'm sure they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Go ahead.
Well, I'm pretty much done. It's just like,
well, that's the thing that Dave Hamilton has pointed out, is that the nice thing about having USB-C ports is that, and we've talked about it on Daily Observations, that with USB-C ports, you can turn them into whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, if what you really need is an HDMI port, right. But if what you need is an HDMI port, you can make that happen. If you need a card reader, you can make that happen. And, and because the shape of them is USB-C, but the technology of them is Thunderbolt, like, you don't have to worry about like the throughput or the traffic or anything, like everything you want to plug into that port is going to keep up with that port. And so that's part of what we talked about before when we talked about, the number of ports on a machine and that kind of thing. With hubs and with what Thunderbolt 4 is doing now, that's a very interesting proposition. I'm kind of interested that the touch bar went away, honestly, like that everybody's talking about that. Well, that's the thing that everybody's excited about.
The rumor is, I'm kind of like, I would prefer they keep it. I don't hate the touch bar. I don't use it much. For one thing, I'm almost all the time on an external monitor. Mm-hmm. So the touch bar's over here. So I don't use it that much because I'm not, it's not right in front of me. But, I never use the function keys either. Mm-hmm. In fact, I've got a keyboard with function keys in front of me. I never use them. I can't. I'm a good touch typist. I cannot touch type function keys. So
I agree with you. I use the touch bar way more than I ever used a function key.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Jeff, you've been waiting patiently. Dive in here with your thoughts.
Okay, let's start with the first thing. Why does everyone listen to everything Ming Chi Kuo says and take it as gospel? This man does not have the track record. Holy crap, people.
Well, good.
He really doesn't.
I'm glad to hear that.
He does not. And yet we have this thing where everyone just hangs on every word he says, and they think he has the most amazing track record. No, he doesn't. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, and I've got that off my chest, let's run down what we have going on here. Okay, so MagSafe.
I'm waiting for Jeff to turn to a whiteboard and start writing on it.
Let me bring up this
PowerPoint
it down. Presentation I have.
Bunch of X's and O's and arrows. Yeah.
That's right. Post-it notes to link everything together. Okay, MagSafe. If it comes back in a different way than what we had on the Macs before, meaning Apple will put coils in the bottom of the case. So you can have like some plate that you set your laptop on, and it's an add-on accessory. And so you can charge your laptop without having to plug in any wires when you're at your desk.
That MagSafe I would be into. Oh, yes. I'll go buy $129.
Yeah, why did they come up with this?
Yeah, I'm guessing $259.
I know.
Yeah. And it
let me have this one, Jim.
Where it's the plate.
I'd buy it.
And it has some extra ports on it for whatever. But it'll be a charging plate that you just set your laptop on.
It's a dock.
Sure, Apple could make the MacBook Pro back into the MacBook Duo or PowerBook Duo. Okay, now the ports. everyone's saying more ports, and they're thinking Apple will bring back USB-A. Apple's going to bring back HDMI, and no. Just to be clear, no. It's going to be the USB-C connector that we see today, and it will continue to be Thunderbolt, because when you do that, you now have taken a PCI slot in your computer and stuck it on the outside so you can plug anything into it. It knows what all the devices are, and it just works. Dongles, everyone complains about dongles, whatever. We've had to do the dongle thing our whole lives, and that's not going to change. And the trade-off is you have exactly the ports you want because you get just the dongles you need. All right. Now, so what does more ports really mean? I like that. Let's make a song. Okay. So
Kelly.
Oh, no, she knows I'm on it. Oh, okay.
Here's what more ports really means. It means Apple can put more of their Thunderbolt ports on the computer, because the new chips that will be coming out down the road will support more I/O buses. And the reason we don't have more ports today is because you'd have to split the bandwidth between the ports on these new computers. So new M series chips come out. They support more buses. Now you can have more Thunderbolt 4 ports on your computer. That's what that means.
I'm all for that.
So now, Touch Bar. I'm like totally on a roll with this thing. Touch Bar.
I'll be right back. I'm getting popcorn.
Yeah, make some for me. Okay, I'm kind of torn on what a touch bar change could mean, because I don't see Apple abandoning it, but I don't see it as a feature that has been as widely adopted as it ought to be. Now, I put that on Apple because they don't put the touch bar on their external keyboards. If they did that, I think touch bar support would be much more widely embraced.
If everybody had one. So, right. Jeff, what about the Touch ID that's part of the touch bar? I think that's the reason we don't have it on the external keyboards, but that's my own crazy theory. And as you know, I run a home for those.
I think Apple can do a secure enclave that's bound to a specific keyboard and then pairs with the secure enclave on your computer. And now you do an encrypted data transfer between the keyboard and the computer, and they can do it that way. I'm the idea guy here. Someone at Apple right now is like,
we're all just
my brain is melting.
We just wave our hands like kids in a Charlie Brown Christmas special.
That's right. Okay, now here's my idea of what Apple could do with the touch bar. Okay, so right now it's this little thin strip at the top of your keyboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have this big honking massive space at the bottom of the keyboard. Why not take that whole space and make it a touch surface? And now you can have your touch bar support, you can do your trackpad stuff, and because it's a multi-touch surface, you can now do custom interface things for applications right there below the physical keyboard.
Is this your Stream Deck? On the bottom of your laptop?
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds cool, but aren't you going to hit it? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it has palm rejection.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like using an Apple Pencil.
Does.
But that's because of the pencil. So it's using the pencil and rejecting all touch. It doesn't.
If you're typing, all touch is rejected. If you have a hand on the keyboard or whatever, like I could see Apple figuring it out, but Brittany, I could also see you finding a way to mess it up.
I'm pleased to welcome Amazon Pharmacy as the newest sponsor of MacVoices. I'm pretty sure you know a great deal about Amazon, so here are some of the main things that you need to know about Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Pharmacy makes getting your prescriptions easy because they come to you. You don't need to go to the pharmacy to get them. Amazon Pharmacy works with your doctor's office easily. Just have your doctor send your prescriptions to Amazon Pharmacy and you're all set. Amazon Pharmacy also works with most insurance plans nationwide. So if you are using your insurance plan now, odds are you'll be able to use it when you switch to Amazon Pharmacy. And if you are an Amazon Prime member, you get free 2-day delivery of your medications with Amazon Pharmacy. I don't know about you, but I seldom can get to the pharmacy to pick up my meds within 2 days. Having it arrive on my doorstep is definitely a time savings. And as an Amazon Prime member, you save on prescriptions if you're paying without insurance. I already use Amazon Prime on a regular basis for availability, convenience, and savings. Now you can do the same, and as a Prime member, save on prescription medications when not using insurance, and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/MacVoicesRx. That's Amazon, Amazon.com/MacVoicesRx. Amazon.com/MacVoicesRx. Thanks and welcome to Amazon Pharmacy for their support of Mac Voices. Today's Mac Voices is supported by Headspace. Meditation made simple. Whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you feel better. Overwhelmed? Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation that can help. Want to improve your focus? Headspace has you covered. Looking to just up your game by improving your overall sense of well-being? Headspace is for you. That's one of the things I really like about Headspace. They don't just throw the same thing at you and expect it to fix whatever you're working on. They ask you what your goals are, then direct you to the type of meditation that will work best for you. And that meditation is simple to accomplish with their easy-to-use app. Another thing I really like about Headspace is that they aren't focused on advancing some doctrine or theory. There's not the extraneous reading or other fluff that some other meditation programs insist on including. You get right to the meditation, and therefore, right to having it benefit you. The beginning of the year is a great time to start changing your life, so what are you waiting for? You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/MacVoices. That's headspace.com/MacVoices for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. That's the best deal offered right now. So head to headspace.com/MacVoices today. Thanks to Headspace for their support of Mac Voices.
Okay, so in my very simplistic system of magically coming up with things for Apple to do, when you are touching,
keep spending their money.
Oh yeah, I'm going to spend everyone's money like it's everyone else's money. Okay, so what you do with the trackpad for palm rejection, if that whole surface is now touch sensitive, you can tell everywhere that the surface is being touched. So if you have a large area, like this part of your hand right here, as opposed to a fingertip, you can at least tell the difference between the surface space that's being contacted. Now, I'll let Apple's highly paid engineers take it from there, and they can make this incredible, massive trackpad touch surface that developers can just go crazy with.
You know, I've been seeing this with in the PC side of things. Not that we talk about PC here, but they're already looking at that type of stuff, and I can see Apple engineers are probably looking at that stuff. I mean, I've seen these new tablets where you could take a keyboard, put it on top of the screen, and then take it off, and then you got a full double screen. So, I mean, I could see. I'm not saying that Apple's going to do that, but I can definitely see that they could look at something like a touch bar that's below the keyboard as opposed to above it. I mean, there's also been rumored talk of possible them having a touch screen altogether as a possibility. I don't know if that'll happen, but
I don't see that happening.
I'd be very, very surprised. I don't think that part is not that important. But as far as MagSafe goes, I could see that because I'm just holding up the MagSafe I have now for the iPhone. I mean, look at what they did with the iPhone. They added the MagSafe as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. That seems pretty valid. I could see that they would translate that technology into the Mac and be able to come up with an engineering marvel of being able to do the same exact thing like you're doing on an iPhone with Qi charging type of charging for a MacBook.
I can absolutely see. I've been calling the phone version MagSafe 3, and I can absolutely see MagSafe 3 becoming a laptop powering mechanism and not just for the phone.
Although there's so much more power needed for a laptop, and the MagSafe doesn't even power the phone at full full blast.
Right.
Yeah, but Jeff and I are waving our hands in front of it, and then it's going to turn into something awesome. Like I could, if anyone can do it, it's Apple. If we were having, if this were Dell Voices, I don't think we'd be having this conversation.
I think if anyone could do it, would be Apple. But where's that AirPad they promised us?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
It's called MagSafe.
There's still physics.
Mark Fuccio, jump in here because you haven't said anything, and I'm anxious to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so I agree with Jim or James. I don't know what he likes to be called.
Jim.
Yeah, when he said it's industry standard, it's right there. I think to a lot of people's annoyance, Apple has had all of these different ports, and they change things from generation to generation. And I think now USB-C maybe just finally is starting to get some market traction. 5 years after they introduced it on their 12-inch as a single port on their 12-inch MacBook. So I think it would be dumb for them to yank and jerk everyone around to have some sort of proprietary interface. And
Apple never looks back.
And picking up on Brittany, I think if people want it, either Apple will do it if there's a big enough demand, or rely on third parties, for some sort of USB-C to some sort of other MagSafe adapter, so on the other end, so I don't know if it was Jeff or David who said that the footprint of the USB-C connector is pretty small and you can kick it out. So I think based on that, unlike the USB-A connector, which was a real problem, I just see this as something of a diminishing importance. Yes, it was very attractive to a lot of people. But it may be something that just served itself and served a purpose just for a short period of time. And again, on this, I think that it's really an artificial distinction to have 2 ports or 4 ports, depending on the model of machine. I think Apple should definitely have plenty of USB-C. I find that on my MacBook Pro, 4 seems to be a good number. I think they should make that standard across everything they do. And by doing it, they get high volume. It can drive economies of scale, and they can eke out on the backs of their suppliers cost savings to allow them to make it ubiquitous across all of their models.
But they want to charge you outrageous upgrade costs.
Well, it's kind of dumb, right? You have to go to this whole new machine just because you need more ports. I mean, that's not really, I think, their best source of differentiation. I think it should be on processing power or screen size or weight, things like that. But artificial differentiation based on ports, that's the sort of manipulation that makes people say bad things and think corporations are evil and just looking to screw their customers and maximize profits. And I don't think Apple needs to do that. It should be, there's plenty there's plenty of real estate on the sides. Put 4 USB ports on everything, and then people decide on this how much memory they want, how much storage they want, what size screen they want. And I think it's the dumbest thing on earth to figure, I need to buy this other thing that's because I need 4 ports instead of 2.
But the thing is, I understand what you guys are saying, but I think that we're missing something here, and that is that the laptops. We're talking about laptops here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And laptops are theoretically supposed to be portable, and yet it seems like more and more people are turning to a laptop as a main machine. And so if it's a main machine, I like what Jim said, that one port, $17, or if you want one of the expensive one, a Thunderbolt, one cable, and you've got multiple things that you can plug into. I don't want to see a laptop bogged down with a whole lot of other things. But I'm also with Mark. I think that 4 ports is 4 Thunderbolt ports is where it should be. 2 is just not enough. But on the other hand, for a laptop, there's some pretty nice docks out there. In fact, I just got one that I saw announced at CES from Pluggable. that's a 7-in-1 USB port. Dock.
You know what they don't have?
So
it doesn't seem to have appeared is USB-C hubs. It's really hard to plug something in, and I mean, I haven't found anything of a USB-C to get me more USB-C ports. The only thing
it has to be
Dave,
Thunderbolt 4.
Are you going to show him?
I'm going to show him.
That's the thing.
There you go. There's your OWC Thunderbolt 4 hub. It's got 3 USB-C ports in it.
It's a recent development.
Recent development.
It became possible to make that happen.
Does that mean you plug in, one of them goes to the computer and you get 2 more?
Get 3 more.
No, you get all 3 of those are for you.
All 3 are for that, and then this plugs it into the computer.
Yeah.
And what's another port?
Is that out?
Power, or is that?
Yes.
That's a USB-A is in the front.
Okay, and on the other side.
Other side is this is a lock. This you can lock it to your desk.
Yeah.
It does require power. That's the only downfall to it. It does have a pretty large size brick to power it, but you do get 3
watts.
It's a chunk, but it's a big old majigger. Yeah.
But it's got 3 true out USB-C Thunderbolt ports right here.
And where's the Thunderbolt port that connects to the computer?
In the front here. See that?
Oh, okay.
That's the cable.
So 3 USB-Cs and USB-A, and that is out? Is that out?
Yep. USB-C.
When did it come out?
Oh, yes, this is out. It's on the OWC's website.
It's freely available. It's a recent development.
$149.
Well, that's not too bad.
Dave had Larry, whose last name is escaping me right now. Larry O'Connor from OWC on to talk about Thunderbolt and hubbing and how it's only recently that was even a possibility, which is why everything you buy looks like it would be the end of a chain for people who remember SCSI devices. Because it wasn't possible to daisy chain anything until very, very recently. So they have Dave had an awesome breakdown from Larry on what it is and how it works and how they're doing it and all of that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
And I can tell you, I have an M1 Mac Mini. I've plugged it into one of the USB-C ports, which on the M1s it's got 2 separate channel Thunderbolt ports or USB-C Thunderbolt ports on it. So I plugged this hub to it. I had 3 drives cranking away on this hub up to flawless speeds. I mean, I have drives that are 3 to 4 to 500 megabit speeds running the drives, and it was flawless with this.
Megabit?
With this hub.
You mean megabyte?
Megabyte, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm this podcast was worth it for me just to learn about that. Now you could do it before with the LG monitor, right?
You could, but I don't know how efficient it was when it came to drives.
Yeah, I don't know what the full-on throughput was if you were redlining all of them. I don't know how well it held up.
I think the LG monitor was running a single bus for all the ports.
Yeah, something like that.
So so you gang up a couple hard drives on it, and you'll see performance problems.
So this thing you won't?
Yeah. I put it to the paces.
Awesome.
Both my Intel Mac, which I'm on for this show, and then my M1 Mac Mini, that's Apple Silicon, both ran very well.
So a couple questions here. First of all, a guy in the Facebook chat said 4 ports, as good as they're not using the same bus. And Paul in the YouTube chat asked, "What will that work, David?" I'm sure he's referring to the Thunderbolt dock with an iPad with only one USB-C port.
Yes, it does. I tried it. I plugged in this hub. It plugged into power into my iPad Pro, and I had 3 drives plugged into it. All 3 drives were recognized in the Files app on an iPad.
But that was not Thunderbolt drives then. They must have been USB-C drives.
They're USB-C, right? But using they're USB-C. They're not Thunderbolt drives. No.
Yeah.
So
David wants all this Thunderbolt drives.
Yeah. No,
Kelly, I'll give you
go ahead.
Yeah, Kelly, I'll give you the last word because we're almost out of time.
Okay, so I just want to go back to what Jeff was saying about giving Min-Chi Kuo a bunch of credit for stuff that he doesn't deserve. And I think the basis of this rumor is, in fact, a very sort of moment because, of course, Apple's going to redesign the laptops because Apple doesn't have to make do with whatever sort of affordances they were having to make to jimmy the Intel chips into the laptops they already had. So when Apple gets an opportunity to design absolutely everything that's inside the computer from the ground up, and including like from the processor on down, and they're in charge of the display, and they're in charge of all the software, of course we were going to get new shapes. Now, we've already had a 16-inch, so that's not revolutionary. Going from 13 to 14 is a little bit interesting, because I'm curious if they're just going to make 14 and 16 the sizes now. But like we knew that once Apple got an opportunity, there was going to be a chance for them to find ways to make things more efficient, make things more interesting, make things more useful, make them run on less power, make them run, generate less heat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like now that Apple doesn't have to put up with nonsense from Intel, for lack of a better way to characterize that, I don't think there's any great leap of logic that, of course, the machines are going to look a little different, because now Apple has all the opportunity available to them to do whatever they want. If it doesn't matter how far the processor is from anything anymore, because this processor does everything fundamentally differently than the Intel ones do, then they can put it wherever they want on the board and put other things in other places. And, if you don't have to worry about the distance that anything has to travel down a transistor and all of that, like John Martellaro would do a much better job of explaining this to you than I am. I'm doing a really bad job of it. Somewhere his eye is twitching and he doesn't know why. And it's because of me. Sorry, John.
Well, at least for once, it's not me.
Yeah.
But
at least, for a change. But I think Kelly, that's obvious.
Could you restate that and boil it down? I mean, you have a lot of words there, and a lot. What's the key idea? What's the key takeaway?
Now that Apple makes all of the insides, of course, the outsides are going to change. So Ming-Chi Kuo saying that shouldn't excite anybody. We knew that was going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, I understand what you say. I'm not sure I agree with it. I don't think I disagree with it, because we don't know what Apple is going to do,
but it stands to reason. That's all I mean. Like, I'm not saying it's a done deal, but like,
I wonder how far you can change the design of a laptop at this point.
Right.
It's still got to work with your hands and your eyes and human ergonomics, and they're already as thin as they can get. And, they
don't need to be thinner.
Right.
I think it's going to be like battery efficiency and things like that. Like the thing I keep coming back to is like Apple making that terraced battery so that the MacBook Air had the teardrop shape, like making the slices of battery so that the battery got thinner as it moved down, so that they could get that shape out of that laptop. Like that kind of stuff that Apple continues to do. Like, of course they were going to be due for a design refresh, right? Like, it makes sense that like they're going to get rid of the chin on the bottom of the iMac, because they don't need all of that space for anything anymore, because they've found ways to be more efficient in the laptops and in the minis. And so now, you don't have to have all that extra space at the bottom of the screen to hold all of the computer parts. So like, it totally makes sense to me that they would evolve like that.
Yeah, but some of what you're saying, and we need to wrap this up, but some of what you're saying is already true with the M1 Max.
Yeah.
With that we're seeing power efficiencies, we're seeing the internals really give us some real benefits. So, I'm not sure that some of the design aspects of it need to change that much to improve the function. Apple has already done a quantum leap in that area. So I have an idea. This is a topic we need to revisit, because we never even did get to iMac refresh or redesign. And
new monitor.
I will ask one last question though, and I'll ask everybody
10
comments.
10 pounds of stuff for a 7-pound show. That's what the problem is.
So thumbs up or thumbs down? Touch bar. Where do you stand on the touch bar? Okay, well, that's interesting.
I'm neutral.
I can't even quantify that.
I'm
going to use that as a screenshot. So let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you when you're not here, and we may pick this back up next week. David, I'll try to keep the screen the same way I had it before. David, where can folks find you?
You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. Doing a show this week. Got a couple interviews you'll be hearing on my CES coverage, so give that a listen towards the end of the week here. And occasionally on the Mac show with the British Tech Network, and I'm also on Mac to the Future Go livecast with Guy Searle and Warren Sklar, and on Wednesday nights in the Mac to the Future Facebook page. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you, David. Good to have you.
Great. Thank you.
Jim Ray, it's a pleasure to have you for the first time on Mac Voices Live. I hope you'll come back. Where can folks find you?
I think this was fun. You can find me professionally at provue.com. It's PROVUE. A little bit unusual spelling, provue.com. And then also on Twitter, I'm ProvueJim, PROVUEJIM on Twitter.
Great. You're always welcome. Good to have you. Thanks for being here. Mr. Jeff Gamet.
This is so much fun, like every single time.
It is.
I am easy to find. I'm Jay Gamet on Twitter and Instagram. I've been bouncing around a lot of shows lately. Dave, was it last week before?
Yeah.
I was on In Touch with iOS.
Yeah.
Time bleeds together for me, big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. So I can't remember when I'm on specific shows. Anyhow, I'm easy to find.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Thank you, sir. Ms. Kelly Guimont, now. Let's see. I think last week it was 10 seconds.
It was 10 seconds.
We'll give you a break and make it 10 seconds. And Jeff is the official timekeeper.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
You can find me on Twitter and on micro.blog as Verso. You can find me on the After Show at aftershowpodcast.com. I'm the host of the Daily Observations podcast and occasionally on The Incomparable.
10 seconds.
Impressive.
She's been practicing.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Kelly. Good to have you. Ms. Brittany Smith, welcome. I'm so glad you made it. We missed you last week. Where can folks find you?
Thanks. On Twitter, I'm the ADD Liberator, and you can find my productivity coaching at conquer.consulting.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks, Brittany.
Thanks.
Last but absolutely not least, only because he was the last one in, Mr. Mark Fuccio, who is busy watching the Apple stock.
Yes, the simplest way to find me is Twitter at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, lowercase, all one word.
Great. Thanks for coming, Mark. Really appreciate it as always. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices Live. Again, we do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We would love to have you join us either in our Facebook chats, in our YouTube chat room, or maybe join us like Jim Ray did today in the Zoom room with us. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.